What's something people don't know about Gangs of New York? This film, directed by Martin Scorsese, is a cinematic masterpiece that takes us back to the gritty streets of 19th century New York. But beyond the dramatic storytelling and intense performances, there's a fascinating historical backdrop that many viewers might not be aware of. Buckle up, because we're diving into the real history behind Bill the Butcher. The character, brought to life by Daniel Day-Lewis, is based on a real person whose life was just as tumultuous and violent as depicted in the movie. So, was Bill the Butcher a real person? Absolutely. His real name was William Poole, and he was a larger-than-life figure in the mid-1800s. Born in 1821, Poole grew up in a time when New York City was a melting pot of cultures, ideas, and, unfortunately, conflicts. His real name was William Poole, and he was even more notorious than the movie shows. Poole was not just a butcher by trade, he was a formidable force in the city's underworld. His influence extended far beyond his butcher shop, reaching into the political and social fabric of New York. Bill was a butcher by trade, but he was also a leader of the Bowery Boys, one of the toughest gangs in 1800s New York. The Bowery Boys were known for their fierce loyalty and their readiness to engage in violent confrontations to protect their turf and interests. Now, Poole wasn't just slicing meat. His butcher shop was a front for his more nefarious activities. It was a place where plans were hatched, alliances were formed, and rivalries were stoked. The shop was a hub of activity, a place where the underbelly of New York society came to life. He was a political enforcer for the Know Nothing Party, stirring up anti-immigrant sentiment and causing all kinds of chaos. The Know Nothing Party, also known as the American Party, was a nativist political group that sought to limit the influence of immigrants, particularly Irish Catholics, in American society. Picture this: the streets of New York filled with rival gangs, political unrest, and a whole lot of brawling. The city was a powder keg, with tensions running high and violence erupting at the slightest provocation. Gangs like the Bowery Boys and their rivals, the Dead Rabbits, were constantly at each other's throats. And right in the middle, our guy, Bill the Butcher. Poole was a central figure in this chaotic landscape, using his influence and muscle to shape the city's underworld. His reputation as a ruthless enforcer and a cunning strategist made him a force to be reckoned with. His life ended as dramatically as he lived it, shot in a bar fight and dying after uttering some legendary last words. On March 8, 1855, Poole was mortally wounded in a barroom brawl. As he lay dying, he reportedly said, "Goodbye, boys, I die a true American." These words cemented his legacy as a symbol of nativist sentiment and violent resistance to change. So next time you watch Gangs of New York, remember that sometimes history is just as wild as the movies. The film captures the essence of a turbulent time in American history, where the lines between right and wrong were often blurred, and survival meant being the toughest and the smartest.